Nothing better than some good June hype. Nothing better than coming courtesy of Urban Meyer, our favorite. Come back, Urban.
Master of
Come
hyperbole.
back to coaching. We need you. Although he's throwing bombs out there. Really not a bomb. Talking to Adam King, TV 10 in Columbus. Urban Meyer said this of the Ohio State roster. As of now, the 2024 roster, this is one of the most talented rosters in the last decade, maybe ever.
There we go.
They've got to play, but you look at the quality of athlete at every position, I've never seen anything like it. Now, this is a man who has won some national championships. Put together a crew at the University of Florida that could bring it. Put together multiple big-time teams at Ohio State. Those are just the teams he coached. He went against the Alabama juggernaut. He went against everybody. Clemson, all the different teams. Maybe ever, Urban Meyer says. Now, Buckeyes are undeniably loaded. They recruit at an extremely high level. Their transfers this year, Caleb Downs, we'll talk about him in a sec. He's not just an All-American safety, maybe doing some running back, even though they've got 40 running backs, including Quinshon Judkins. They bring in from Ole Miss. They've got Will Howard coming in from Kansas State. I don't think anybody is going to deny that Ohio State has a incredible roster. Adding to it, Jim Tressel said this, Buckeye coaches loading up. I don't know if I've ever seen that many great players in that building all at once. Every position, every place you turn. This is Jim Tressel, also won national title at Ohio State. So Ryan's done a great job. Ohio State has done a great job.
Are they trying to purposely put pressure on the current football coach? I mean, man.
That was my thought.
Yeah.
Hey,
thanks, boys.
I appreciate it. Speak your mind. This is why we love Urban and when Coach Tressel putting it out there. He's not necessarily wrong, but this is some serious, like, buck nuts message board hyperbole here.
Yeah,
Best roster ever. Ryan Day,
I mean, yeah.
if you're unaware, has not won a national title and has lost his last 3 games to the University of Michigan and is coming into a rather pivotal, important season. And this is his 2 predecessors, not counting the Luke Fickell year. We haven't heard from Coach Fickell, his interim coach one year.
Yeah. Let's get maybe he'll wait.
He'll be like, probably. He'll be like, oh my.
John Cooper is still alive. We can get him to say this is the greatest team ever, too.
If you're Ryan Day, thoughts on that, Ross? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm sure he has. I would like to hear his real thoughts on that. Like I said earlier, I'm sure it's something like, "Well, gee, thanks. Way to set me up for this." It's as you mentioned, Dan, hasn't won a national championship, has lost the last 3 against Michigan, and now enters the season already filled with certainly plenty of attention, given those 2 facts that he hasn't won a ring and he hasn't beat Michigan the last 3 years, and now he's got this to deal with, which is his predecessor and the predecessor before him anointing the team as the most talented in basically the history of football. So good luck, Coach Day.
Yeah, I mean, it's throwing it out there on a guy that is undeniably going to feel the pressure to deliver this year. Urban's most talented team ever probably was 2015 when they did not win the Big Ten and did not go to the playoff. The 2014 team won it all, and almost all of them came back. And then they lost in a sleet storm to Michigan State, and Michigan State went to the playoff and got smoked. And I mean, that was a major underachievement with that team. But Ryan Day obviously has never gotten the brass ring. And I think the hunger is off the scale, basically, there, given the losses to Michigan, given how institutionally all in they went on the transfer portal and on the coaching staff. Dan named off the big time transfers, but then, you go get Chip Kelly. And this is all the chips are going into the middle of the table for Ohio State this year. And we will see how Ryan Day handles that and reacts to it, and the players handle it and react to it. And they may have all the pieces. I still got to see Will Howard in action with all that talent around him and say, yeah, that guy's good enough. He might be. He very well might be. But I still want to see that. But yeah, this there is nobody with greater expectations and more pressure right now than Ryan Day in college football.
By the way, there's more pressure too than, just these former coaches and what they said, the fact that they lost to Michigan, the fact that he hasn't won a national championship. There's a fourth thing here, which is they spent a lot of money. Their boosters spent a lot of money on this roster, upwards of $13 to $15 million, maybe more. And that's just coming from what Ryan Day has basically said publicly and some talk privately about the NIL at Ohio State. Multiple players on 7-figure deals is what you kind of hear. And, who's to know the accuracy of some of the NIL figures. We've talked about that before, but plain and simple, they spend a lot of money here. And the boosters and the fans are like never before, probably expecting, really feel like they are investing their money to probably win championships at a level that we've never seen in college athletics, and specifically there.
So, and this continues into recruiting. Ohio State is absolutely dominating in recruiting. And Rivals had a story the other day from Adam Friedman about how they have a path. They have 3. Now, this is just using the Rivals ratings. They're pretty stingy with their 5 stars, is the one thing I like about Rivals. Year in, year out, there's about 30 to 35 guys that get 5 stars for Rivals. And I always like that because it equates to the number of first-round draft picks there are in the NFL. So you can kind of, okay, these are first-round picks. These are second-round picks, right? At least that's how it works in my mind. They already have 3 of those guys committed. They have a path to get 8, 9, or more. And the most 5 stars ever signed by one school is 8, the record. Georgia in 2018 and USC in 2004. Now, if you go back through those lists, the 5 stars really were not the guys that panned out. You think you go, oh yeah, Reggie Bush, and no, it wasn't them. There were some great players, but a lot of the guys didn't pan out as big names. So, whatever this is worth, but they are rolling in every facet. I would say they're the number 1 program in the country going right now, except on-field result. It kind of matters.
Yeah.
So I hope Georgia fans didn't immediately send a missile to my house when they heard the first part of the story, that sentence. They are killing it. They have got everything going. And the selective transfers they brought in, we just bring Caleb Downs in. Like Alabama has a little bit of a wow, we got a coaching change. Bang, we'll take Caleb Downs. Thank you. And what that allows, the way they can position their defense and all the different things. But so they got everything going. But you got to win it now. And that is a tough thing. B, even if you go back, the Miami Hurricanes and ever. We're talking.
Yeah, ever's a big word.
The Nebraska teams. Ever. Yeah. Maybe ever. You could say, I don't know if I ever had. Those. Then you're sitting there saying, well, what about these teams you guys had? No, they're talking about anybody. Couple of those. Nick Saban would call this rat poison, and it is probably rat poison. But Ohio State has to now win. I guess you don't have to win the Big Ten, but they are now in a Big Ten that includes Oregon and Penn State and Michigan and maybe USC's. It's a tougher deal. That Big Ten championship game is no longer going to be someone you're going to roll from the West, where you can put out your third string quarterback and win 59-0.
Right.
And then in the playoff, you're going to have to play presumably three. You're going to have to beat three teams. 3 top 8 teams, not 2, not 1, like in the Tressel era or the old era, but 3. I don't we don't really know how that will change the equation of what constitutes a quote unquote great team. How do you manage that? How do you keep everyone focused till January 20th? A lot of these guys on Ohio State and all these top teams will be dealing with this. They're going to go pro. And how do you keep, I just wonder about this. I was watching All-American on the CW the other night. It's really my Bible on how college athletics works. And it was hard to keep Jordan Baker and Spencer James focused as they were playing for the national title. Spoiler alert. Golden Angels University, while also thinking about the draft. No, but I mean, it's just like all of a sudden you get into January 15th, there are guys sitting there going, I mean, that's combines and right? Like there's a lot. It's a whole different equation. Sure. So to sit there and say, hey, this is title or bust, but it feels like title or bust. I would think no one's really going to be that mad if they lose to Georgia in the national championship, but
I don't know.
I mean, how can you just sit there and be like, oh, they got this? They're not that good. I don't think they're that much better than Georgia. I don't think you're going to sit there and be like, this.
I don't either. But you've got Urban Meyer and other people saying it's the greatest team ever. And you know what? The fans, it's not rat poison for the fans. It's LSD. It's amphetamines. They're going crazy like, oh, we got to win it. We got to win it. So I don't think they're putting up with any second place in terms. I mean, I'm not saying you fire Ryan Day, but the fans won't be happy if they come in second. They will not. I do not believe. But a couple of things there, key points. Not only did they get Caleb Downs is from Georgia, and Georgia wanted him badly when he went into the transfer portal, and they beat Georgia for Caleb Downs. That was a major statement, I thought, on the investment, perhaps literally on the investment that Ohio State has made. So, they are completely in.